left him in April of 1991, when she and their son moved in with her parents. David Touche, at the time, was living with his brother, Michael, and his family. Ganal began harassing David, calling him and threatening his life, so much so that David decided to move back to the mainland. So on this night when all this horrible stuff happened, David Touche was not even in the state. So you guys understand, right? So David Touche was a brother of the Touche couple and the uncle of the two children that passed away. So on August 29th, 1991, a grand jury returned a 5-count indictment against Ganal. The charges are as follows. Count 1, murder in the first degree. Count 2, attempted murder in the first degree. Count 3, possession, use or threat to use a firearm in the commission of a felony. Count 4, terroristic threatening in the first degree. And count 5, criminal property damage in the first degree. Trial began on March 1st, 1993. And on April 7th, 1993, Ganal was found guilty on all counts. After appeal, on May 8th, 1996, the Supreme Court reversed the convictions as to count 2 and 3 and confirmed the convictions on all other counts. Ganal was sentenced to life in prison with no parole. After the trial in 1996, Wendy Touche filed a civil lawsuit against Orlando Ganal Sr. and was awarded $29 million. But how was she supposed to collect on that when he was incarcerated for life and the only asset he had was a house in Waipahu, which was owned jointly by he and his wife? So Wendy also sued Mabel Ganal, claiming that Mabel failed to adequately control her husband and for not warning the people who were in danger. The circuit court granted Mabel's motion to dismiss, citing that people have no legal duty to prevent crimes by their spouses. But the Supreme Court held that Mabel could be held liable and that she was negligent. Basically, to paraphrase, Mabel apparently flaunted her affair with Touche and humiliated Ganal by taunting. This behavior by Mabel caused Ganal to suffer severe and extreme emotional and mental distress and depression. If you want to take a look at that case, it's Touche versus Ganal, 922 P2D 347. I also found an article in the Star Bulletin that made reference to a lawsuit filed by Orlando Ganal Jr., so June, against both his parents and his deceased grandparents, but I could not find the details of the suit, so I don't know how far that went. I'm not sure. So the thing that struck me the most about this case is that no one that was killed was directly involved with the motive. Two people that were the targets of his rage were his wife and her lover. And his wife survived, and David Touche was not even in the state. I mean, not that they deserved to die either, but, I mean, they were who he was upset at. So according to the book Honolulu Homicide, Murder and Mayhem in Paradise by Gary Diaz, Mabel Ganal moved to the mainland to be with David Touche after the trial. If you Google Mabel Ganal, the name Mabel Touche also pops up, so they may have gotten married, I don't know. It was also said in this book that at Ganal's murder trial, Mabel professed her love for him, the guy that shot her son, killed her parents, and murdered 2 innocent babies and their father and maimed their mother. So while researching this case, many sources called this event a mass murder. But I want to clarify here that this was not a mass murder. What it was a spree killing. And I know that these two are similar and it's easy to get them confused, but there is a difference. The FBI defines mass murder as murdering 4 or more people during an event with no cooling off period between the murders. And it typically occurs in a single location where 1 or more people kill several others. Think of Brian Uisugi and the Xerox mass shooting that we discussed in Cube 3. That was a mass murder. A spree killing, which is what this Ganal event is defined as being committed by one or two individuals who kill at two or more locations with almost no time break between murders and are not defined by the number of victims. So basically, because he went from one place to another, and killed people at both locations, that's what makes it a spree killing as opposed to a mass murder. I don't know why he went and set fire to his workplace. Like I said before, I think it may have just been because he was having issues in trying to file for workers' comp. This guy was just, I believe, having a mental break, and he just went on a rampage. It's really sad. Those two babies, that their parents weren't even involved in any of this, and those two babies lost their lives, 10 months old and 2.5 years old. And that's super sad. So that was a case of the spree killing by Orlando Ganal Sr. It's a sad situation, and just to think that someone's extramarital affair was a contributor to the deaths of 5 people, including 2 innocent babies, that's just horrible. I can't even imagine how Wendy Touche feels having lost her husband and children for something that they weren't even involved in. Anytime a child is senselessly killed, it just makes the case so much worse. And also keep in mind, remember that he shot his own son. He shot his own 14-year-old son in the mouth. I believe that he probably just tried to kill everyone, that he came into contact with that night. So I'm glad he is locked up forever, because that's where he belongs. And again, I in the beginning, I mentioned my sources for this case. I want to talk about, for all of you people who are interested in, murder and true crime and serial killers, there's a site called Murderpedia. It's kind of like Wikipedia, but it's where you can actually search for specific, they have to have been convicted, so convicted killers. You can search by state, you can search by name, male or female. It's just interesting. It'll show you mostly the case notes from trials and stuff. So if they're still pending trial, like some of the ones that we had discussed earlier, they're not going to be on there. So that's just an interesting little fun fact for you all. So thank you all again for listening. If you could like and share, it really helps out the podcast. I'm on Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts from. And come follow me on Instagram at ViceCubes and on Facebook at ViceCubes Podcast. If you have any case suggestions, please email me at vicecubes@gmail.com. Last week I did a email suggestion case from a listener, and that was a really interesting case. And that case, again, was one that I did not know about. So it was really a learning case for me as well. So I appreciate it a lot. So if you want to help support the podcast, go to patreon.com/ViceCubesPodcast. And until next week, everyone, stay safe, stay vigilant, be kind. Aloha.